Picture yourself on your morning commute, right? Let's say you're in the Madrid metro. You're crammed into this train car, clutching your coffee, just, half asleep.
Yeah, doing that very specific public transit hunch.
Exactly. The hunch. Shoulders tight, eyes glued to a phone that, let's be honest, might not even be turned on. You're just actively avoiding the sheer terror of accidental eye contact.
Right, because even though you're in a completely public space, you've built this little fortress as like invisible armor just to mentally prep for the workday.
And we really rely on that armor, don't we?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the sociology of urban transit is fascinating because it's built entirely on this mutual unspoken agreement.
Yeah.
We are packed in like sardines,
Sure.
but we demand total anonymity.
So when someone steps onto that train car and breaks the silence, it's not just noise, it's a violation of that social contract.
Yeah, a huge violation.
And usually that violation is super jarring. You brace yourself for like a loud Bluetooth speaker or an aggressive sales pitch. You just pull that invisible armor a little tighter.
Which is exactly what makes today's deep dive so interesting.
Right, because today we are unpacking a transcript of a rap performance. It's by a Latin American migrant, recorded right inside the Madrid transit system.
And instead of that aggressive disruption we all sort of expect, this artist delivers just a masterclass in empathy.
He really does. Our mission today is to look at how he negotiates his physical space and how he completely reframes what it means to work on the street.
Because what we're actually looking at is a real-time negotiation for the right to just exist in a public space.
Yeah, he's a marginalized speaker stepping into a confined room, and his audience is structurally empowered to just, ignore him, complain, or even report him.
Right, so every single syllable he utters has to earn him another second of their patience. If he misreads the room, his income vanishes before the next stop.
So having a profound message doesn't matter if everyone just keeps their headphones on.
Exactly. He's got, what, maybe 3 seconds to stop them from tuning him out?
Barely 3 seconds. And looking at the source transcript, he doesn't lead with a heavy beat or some big bravado.
No, he opens with extreme politeness.
Right. He says, buen dia, good morning. And he literally tells the train car that he's presenting himself con educación, which means with manners.
Which is incredibly smart. He's actively de-escalating the ambient tension of the commute right off the bat.
Because he knows they're bracing for a nuisance.
Yeah, he immediately addresses that fear. He says he hopes he isn't bothering anyone or interrupting their conversations. I think the line is, espero no molestar ni dañarle su conversación.
Wow, yeah. So he's identifying that exact social contract we just talked about.
And gently asking for permission to pause it, yeah.
But then he takes it a step further, which I found totally fascinating. He literally narrates their physical actions in real time.
Right, the line where he steps into their shoes.
Yeah. He says to the crowd, Yo también estuve en el lugar del pasajero revisando el móvil y guardándome el dinero. Meaning, I was also in the passenger seat checking my phone and putting away my money.
It's brilliant. He's calling out the fact that they're standing there guarding their wallets.
And staring at their screens, yeah.
Voicing those unspoken internal monologues is such a highly sophisticated psychological tactic. I mean, he's basically dissolving the barrier between performer and passenger.
Because he's signaling that he understands their discomfort.
Exactly. He's saying, look, I used to be the person in that seat feeling that exact same annoyance.
It creates this shared human baseline. It makes it so much harder to just dismiss him as some random disruption.
Right.
It honestly feels like a reverse sales pitch. Like a bad salesperson just pushes their product and ignores your closed-off body language.
Oh, for sure. But a master negotiator buys your patience by validating your discomfort.
He's telling them they have every right to be annoyed. And by naming the tension, he just deflates it.
Yeah, the commuters are practically forced to see him as this observant, empathetic human being, rather than just an anonymous busker.
He buys their attention using situational awareness. But I do wonder about the sheer volume of his apologies.
How so?
Well, he explicitly says, si les incomodo, pido disculpa, pido perdón. Like, if I make you uncomfortable, I apologize. I ask for forgiveness.
Yeah, it's a lot of difference.
Right. If you're an artist trying to command a room, doesn't leading with that much apology kind of diminish your power? I mean, it almost borders on begging for permission to speak.
You have to view it through the lens of structural power dynamics, though, especially for a migrant without legal status.
Okay, that's fair.
He doesn't have the societal leverage to demand space aggressively. The commuters hold literally all the cards.
True, they can just turn up their volume or walk away or alert security.
Exactly. His power doesn't come from dominance. It comes from his ability to read the room and disarm the dominant group.
So it's tactical humility.
Right, a survival mechanism. He bows his head just to get his foot in the door.
And once that door is open, the tone of the rap shifts dramatically, doesn't it?
It really does. The mask of the polite busker drops entirely.
Yeah, he transitions into this raw philosophical exploration of his own psychology. He reveals this profound identity shift he's undergone.
That line about the prophet and the warrior.
Yes. He says, En mi tierra fui profeta, en la suya soy otro. Me toca ser guerrero en su país, caballero.
In my land, I was a prophet. In yours, I am someone else. I must be a warrior in your country, sir.
It's just devastating.
It really captures the psychological reality of displacement. I mean, think about the sociology of a prophet.
A prophet in their homeland operates with an established voice, right?
Exactly. When a prophet speaks, the community listens by default. Their worth is just baked into the cultural fabric. They are known, respected, rooted.
You don't ask a prophet for a resume or an ID card. Their identity just precedes them.
But a warrior is entirely different. A warrior operates in hostile territory.
Right. They've lost all that inherent status and social capital.
They have to fight every single day, starting entirely from scratch, just to justify their physical existence, just to carve out a tiny fraction of space and convince people their voice matters.
It's like imagine a beloved local leader or respected teacher in your hometown, someone everyone waves to at the grocery store.
Yeah, a pillar of the community.
And then, due to circumstances completely beyond their control, the economy collapses. Or the political situation deteriorates, and they are forced to flee abroad.
The moment they cross that border, all that accumulated social capital just evaporates.
They go from being that community pillar to being an invisible, entry-level, undocumented worker. They're basically stripped of their history.
And Madrid is no longer some romantic European capital to him. It's an arena where he has to fight for visibility.
He even mentions that the yardstick used to measure his worth has changed completely.
Right. He raps con la vara que me diste, ahora es otro quien te made. With a yardstick you gave me, now someone else measures you.
The rules of his old life are just entirely void in this new country.
And the arena he's operating in is brutal. He actually states in the rap, El más fuerte sobrevive, survival of the fittest.
Yeah, and he follows that up with this incredibly evocative line. He says, El mundo da más vueltas que un trompo merenguero.
The world spins more than a meringue top.
It's such a vivid metaphor.
A spinning top set to the frantic, chaotic, fast-paced rhythm of meringue music. It perfectly captures the dizzying speed at which your fortunes can change.
It really speaks to the systemic instability of life as a migrant.
Absolutely. A single piece of bad luck or one bureaucratic hurdle can just send you spiraling.
But, you know, if I'm a tired commuter sitting on that train and a performer starts telling me that life is a chaotic spinning top and only the strong survive, I mean, I might actually interpret that as a bit of a threat, or at least a heavy guilt trip. Like he's saying, watch out, you could be poor and desperate tomorrow.
I can see that.
So how does making the audience uncomfortable or defensive actually help him earn the money he needs to survive?
Well, delivery and context are everything here. Because he's already established that shared human baseline, right?
Ah, because of the polite opening.
Exactly. Because he already voiced their internal monologue and apologized for the intrusion, the commuter is primed to hear this not as a threat, but as a philosophical observation.
So it's more of a gentle reminder about the fragility of privilege.
Yes. By invoking the spinning top, he's asking the audience not to look at him as a fundamentally different species of human.
He's asking them to see him as someone who simply drew a different hand in the current spin of the world.
Which completely reframes the interaction. You're sitting there in your suit, heading to your comfortable office job, totally secure in your routine.
And this performer is holding up a mirror, quietly reminding you that history is long, the world is chaotic, and nobody is permanently immune to the spin of the top.
Right. The comfort you enjoy today is largely just a matter of geographical luck.
That philosophical grounding really lets him broaden the scope of his performance, doesn't it?
It does. He's explained his internal psychological shift, but he makes it very clear that this battle is not just his solitary burden.
Yeah, he expands his personal narrative to encompass this massive geopolitical reality. As the beat builds, he launches into a roll call of solidarity.
He explicitly lists the nationalities of the diaspora, riding these trains and walking these streets.
It's a powerful moment. He calls out Venezuelan, Colombian, Ecuadorian, Peruvian, Bolivian, Mexican, Chilean, Dominican, Cuban, Argentine.
And then he culminates the list with a massive statement of pride.
Soy Latinoamericano. I am Latin American.
But he grounds that personal philosophy in harsh economic reality. He explains that this pan-Latino diaspora migrated seeking prosperity en busca de prosperidad.
Right, but the reality they found was a system designed to keep them on the margins.
Exactly. He raps about the experience of looking for work without papers, buscando trabajo sin papeles.
And that phrase, sin papeles, that is the bureaucratic trapdoor that swallows millions of people.
It really is.
It's not just a matter of missing a driver's license. Lacking the right documents means you are economically a ghost.
You can't legally rent an apartment.
Right. You can't open a bank account, and you certainly can't submit a resume to a cafe or an office building. The formal avenues of society are just completely blockaded.
Which connects the dots perfectly between that pan-Latino roll call and the lack of legal papers. It reveals the true architecture of his performance.
How so?
Well, he's turning that single Madrid metro car into a microcosm of the global migrant struggle.
Oh, I see. He's basically educating the commuters.
Yes. He's explaining that his presence holding a speaker on their morning train isn't a random anomaly or some personal failure.
It's the direct, unavoidable result of systemic bureaucratic barriers.
When formal employment is legally forbidden, human beings are forced into the gray economy just to survive.
And he makes absolutely sure the audience understands that he is not doing this as a casual hobby.
Right, he isn't busking because he loves the thrill of an acoustic set in a moving vehicle.
He states explicitly that he's performing a falta de un empleo, for lack of a job.
He drills down to the most primal, universal motivation possible. He says he's doing this para que en mi casa nunca falte el alimento.
So that in his house, there is never a lack of food.
By saying that, he radically redefines the nature of what is happening in that train car.
Because society so often dismisses street busking as just a public nuisance or even a thinly veiled form of begging.
Exactly, and he dismantles that assumption piece by piece. He elevates his performance to a deeply dignified act of labor.
He's a father and a provider, driven by absolute necessity. He has to keep his family alive when the state refuses to let him work in a traditional setting.
Think about our standard definitions of work, right? We tend to validate labor only when it happens in designated spaces.
Like an office, a factory, or a retail store.
Yes, but this artist stresses the daily grind of his reality. He notes that he does this every single day, starting very early in the morning, desde muy temprano.
He's putting in the hours.
He really is. By repeatedly framing his rapping as this early morning necessity to provide food, he challenges the commuters.
He's challenging them to recognize that his hustle is just as much a real job as the ones they are currently commuting to.
And to solidify this point, he establishes a profound ethical baseline for his actions.
Right. He specifically notes that he's earning his living sin hacerle daño a nadie, without harming anyone.
He's basically laying out his credentials as a fellow member of the working class.
He gets up early, navigates the same public transit system, and worked exhausting hours to feed his family.
The only difference between him and the passengers is that his office is a moving train car.
And his daily wage depends entirely on his ability to convince strangers to acknowledge his humanity for like 3 minutes at a time.
Putting all these pieces together fundamentally shifts the paradigm of a morning commute.
It really does. The artist has taken a space normally defined by isolation and irritation and transformed it into a space of profound ethical questioning.
He's asking the audience to respect his labor, not out of pity for a beggar, but out of solidarity with a fellow worker navigating a broken system.
So what we've seen today is just a meticulously crafted negotiation.
Absolutely. He used situational awareness and extreme politeness to disarm a hostile room.
He validated the passenger's discomfort before he even began his pitch.
And then he guided them through that devastating transition from being a respected prophet in a homeland to becoming a warrior.
Fighting for basic recognition in a foreign arena where the rules are completely rigged.
He broadened that individual struggle to represent the massive Latin American diaspora.
And reframed the disruptive act of street performance into honest, life-sustaining labor, performed by people shut out of the formal economy.
He works early, he works hard, and he does it to put food on the table without hurting a single soul.
So the next time you encounter a busker on your commute, you aren't just looking at a musical performance.
You're watching an active, high-stakes negotiation for the right to exist and earn a living in a public space.
There are incredibly complex layers of dignity, survival, and identity being balanced right in front of you.
And that realization leaves us with a lingering question to ponder, long after you take your headphones off.
We discussed that devastating shift from prophet to warrior, a shift triggered simply by moving across a border and losing a specific set of bureaucratic documents.
Right. Stripping away the context that props us up forces us to evaluate what is actually left underneath.
If our physical geography, and something as arbitrary as having the right papers stamped by a government office, can instantly demote us.
From a respected pillar of our community to an invisible warrior fighting for scraps.
Exactly. How much of our core identity is actually inherent to who we are?
And how much of our self-worth is just a lucky accident of our location.
Tomorrow morning, when you're on the train, clutching your coffee and guarding your personal space, remember the meringue top.
It's spinning for all of us.
And you never quite know where it's going to stop.